have loved the world of Pandora as depicted in James Cameron's Avatar films since I saw the first one in theaters as a child not long after it debuted. I loved it so much in fact that after I saw it for the first time, Avatar the game for Xbox 360 shot to the top of my birthday wish list. Now make no mistake, I was already well aware by then that most licensed games are really bad, but nonetheless I couldn't help but want to play a game set on the beautiful moon of Pandora. And to this day I have fond memories of both it and that first film. As such, I often wonder why the franchise seemed to draw more criticism than praise in the years that followed, and especially leading up to the release of the sequel film over a decade later. But nowadays, as an adult who can see the flaws in what I otherwise appreciate, I understand that much of the criticism directed towards the Avatar films revolves around the narrative. Still though, in spite of the mediocre story, I can confidently say that seeing Avatar: The Way of Water in a Dolby Cinema last year was the single most impressive display of visual and sound engineering I have ever experienced. And it is that legacy of a truly beautiful world, vividly brought to life by next-generation technology, which I believe is perfectly captured by the subject of today's video. So today I'd like to talk about what I think makes Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora one of, if not the single most successful adaptations of a movie into a video game. As usual, I'd like to give a light spoiler warning for the footage I'll be using in this video. While I won't be talking about the story and will be avoiding major plot spoilers, I will be showing footage from the first 2 out of 3 major environments just to demonstrate how beautiful this game is. I haven't included any footage of the environment featured in the final third of the game, as I believe anyone who decides to play this game should experience the joy of discovering at least one of those zones for themselves. With that in mind, I want to say I had an incredible time with this game, and I can enthusiastically recommend Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora to anyone with even a passing interest in the Avatar franchise, or anyone who finds themselves interested in it before or after watching this video. I should also mention, I played the game on PS5 in quality mode, and found it ran fine and didn't have any noticeable performance or technical issues that detracted from my experience. And one last thing. For the sake of clarity and brevity, I will be primarily referring to Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora as just Avatar or Frontiers of Pandora going forward, and when talking about either of the films, we'll be sure to clarify beforehand. Now with that out of the way, let's dive into the unforgettable world of Pandora. Now I'm going to start by saying something somewhat controversial. I believe the push for ever higher fidelity graphics in video games is both a valid and essential part of the medium's progression.
That's absolutely correct.
While I recognize that narrative, art direction, and gameplay all stand far above that push for a greater sense of realism or better graphics, there is no better proof that this pursuit of higher visual fidelity yields deeply meaningful results than Avatar. Much like its film counterparts, this game goes to unbelievable lengths to render a shocking amount of Pandora with a level of detail that I would not expect from a game both this vast and playable on this generation's console hardware. The only game that has ever impressed me so thoroughly on visuals alone is Star Citizen, and that's a whole other thing we won't get into today. But where Star Citizen impresses me primarily with fidelity via scale, Avatar impressed me with fidelity via density. That is to say that nearly every square inch of the natural world you travel through and spend time in is just teeming with life, and in some places so tightly packed with interactive foliage that I could hardly believe my PlayStation 5 wasn't melting down in front of me. There's no getting around it. I do not understand how this game is able to run on current gen consoles short of some kind of witchcraft. Well, I say that, but having thought long and hard about it, I do suspect a lot of the heavy lifting is done by the dynamic resolution, which is less noticeable playing on my mid-sized monitor as opposed to a large 4K television. Though if you'd like to learn more, I'm sure Digital Foundry's got you covered. I haven't watched their video on this game yet, but in my experience they've always done a great job covering technical performance in games, so a link to that video is in the description if you're curious. Moving forward, I'd like to give a thorough demonstration of just how beautiful this rendition of Pandora is, starting with the star of the show, King Lore Forest. This forest is truly phenomenal to step into and is nothing less than a love letter to anyone who still appreciates the most beautiful moments from that first movie like myself. It's honestly pretty remarkable, especially at night when the bioluminescence of plants brings the whole world to life with some of the most iconic sights and lights Pandora has to offer. King Lore Forest makes up roughly the first third of the game and is for the most part the same expansive alien rainforest of Pandora first shown to us in 2009, but so much more than that as well. It's a thick jungle made up of incredibly tall trees and massive vines so large they act as pathways through the forest, and it's filled from top to bottom with most of, if not all of the gorgeous plant and animal life found in the first film, and again, countless more. I went back and rewatched both movies more than once while playing through this game, and regularly noticed tons of small details that speak to just how thorough the developers have been in recreating this place. My favorite example of this happened when the day after rewatching the first film, I leapt off a cliff in the game kinda joking to myself that it would be cool if they managed to make these leaves work how we see them used in the movie. Here we go, I just saw this in the movie, come on game. Oh, it works! Oh my god, it works! Oh my god! I'm fucking clipping that. I did not think that was gonna work. I was fucking kidding. Just to show how far this goes in terms of minute details, I was watching this scene in The Way of Water when I recognized something familiar from the game that wasn't an iconic plant or animal, but something much less important. It's this unyielding attention to detail combined with being able to step into and examine the environment on your own time from whatever angle you'd prefer that is absolutely enchanting in a way I'd previously only ever felt while playing that game I said we wouldn't talk about. Even as I write this, I'm worried that I'm coming on too strong or being hyperbolic, that maybe I'm just the exact target audience for this game and I'm just predisposed to loving it. And perhaps that's the truth, because I simply cannot find the words to impress upon you how beautiful I found this place. Kinglor Forest as seen in Frontiers of Pandora is hands down the most incredible and visually arresting environment I have ever traversed in a video game. It would be a worthwhile place to explore and experience all on its own, separate from any real gameplay or narrative. And not only is it densely packed and finely detailed, it's also absolutely massive. I'm not exaggerating when I say they could have gotten away with setting an entire game just in this region alone. I was so dumbfounded by the unending majesty of this world that I spent most of my first 10 hours just wandering through the forest questioning when, if ever, the magic would fade, especially as night would fall and bring to life Pandora's trademark bioluminescence. I can confidently say the magic did not fade, and every time I hop into this game for extra footage or just to play it more for my own enjoyment, I am taken aback by how truly breathtaking it is to behold. I think I've made my point about how good a job Kinglor Forest does at highlighting the visuals of this game, but make no mistake, the upper plains as seen here and the final major area are both their own unique takes on a part of this beautifully realized alien planet that perfectly complement the iconic jungle of Pandora. But now, it's time we talk about the other half of this sensory spectacle, the sound design. I can hardly believe it myself, but the sound design in Frontiers of Pandora is just as, if not more impressive than the phenomenal visuals. And much like said visuals, the carefully crafted and highly detailed auditory experience makes an unwavering commitment to realizing the world of Pandora. This likewise is an incredibly expansive soundscape, and the scale it evokes is unlike any other. The parallels between visuals and sound don't end there though, as density is once again the real technical achievement here. By carefully layering the tracks in a way that creates such a sense of depth and incorporating an absolute deluge of unique natural sounds, the developers at Massive have crafted an environmental soundscape so dense it's damn near palpable. It feels as though every single plant and animal has its own unique sound which is then perfectly layered in between each other and filtered by distance. This has been done so expertly that I often found myself using my ears to guide my exploration and questing just as much as my eyes. And I often heard animals and humans well before I'd see them, whether it was an RDA gunshot ringing in the distance alerting me to action, or one of these little guys tapping their big ol' slappy feet against a tree in a way that constantly sounds like someone echoing your footsteps and had me turning around confused and paranoid for at least the first 10 plus hours. Exactly how the team at Massive have managed to pull off such a masterful execution of sound design honestly evades me. However, Austin, the editor and co-host over on the channel Skill Up, mentioned speaking with the sound team at Massive in his hands-on preview with the game before its release. And the gist as I understood it has something to do with the way they've recorded the sounds as individual tracks, and a recent innovation they made in increasing how many tracks they can have playing at any one time. He goes into a little more detail in that video, so linked in the description if you'd like to learn more. What I really think goes unmentioned and underappreciated is how the vivid and varied environmental soundscape combines with the wonderful music and a variety of situational triggers that lend themselves to creating a strong sense of awe and admiration when taking in the incredible sights. Speaking of the music, I found it to be much like the rest of the game in how it was able to perfectly capture Pandora's deftly crafted marriage of peaceful whimsy with majestic alien beauty. With so much life all around you, it's all the more impressive how the music accentuates the quiet moments. These are highlighted even further in how both the music and environmental sounds are never truly silent, and yet blend so seamlessly into the presentation of this world. The way Avatar fuses the immersive soundscape of the natural environment with the brilliant subtlety of its soundtrack is something to behold, and it feels as though it's the next step in the kind of environment-driven sound design that promotes exploration for the sake of discovering beautiful places. Not unlike that found in Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom. Now, I understand if you're shocked by my comparing the open world design of Nintendo's innovative flagship title to that of a game published by Ubisoft and developed by the same people who made Far Cry 3, but hear me out. While it'd be all too easy to talk shit about the formulaic and repetitive open world design that Ubisoft pioneered and which subsequently grew to take over the industry in the years that followed, I think it's important to remember why it was obnoxiously copy-pasted into other games for so many years. Because on its debut, it was actually pretty fun, and had a ridiculous but entertaining premise to justify it. And the same is true here in Avatar. With years of slow but meaningful refinement and a premise that suits the simple gameplay, the same open world design that I would have once decried as ruining open worlds has come full circle and managed to be, if nothing else, pretty damn fun. However, that's not without a catch. The somewhat dated gameplay loop of engaging in guerrilla warfare and completing a variety of copy-pasted activities dotted around the map only works because of the absolutely incredible presentation and physicality of the world. Were I not doing parkour through the treetops of a vibrant rainforest or soaring past floating mountains, stopping along the way to interact with flora and fauna just for the fun of it, all of this falls apart. Make no mistake, I'm not trying to diminish the achievements of how much fun this game is. On the contrary, I'm saying this to highlight just how much the unparalleled graphical and audio fidelity are worth in the context of a world that simply could not be successfully realized with anything less. I think it's a testament to the power of incredible graphics and sound design that both are integral to what makes this game fun for me as a fan of the unique ways games facilitate immersion, as well as the cinematic spectacles it's adapted from. Pandora is, after all, an incredible fictional world that deserves, nay demands, exploration, so it's only natural that an open-world video game be the ideal way to adapt it. Now hopefully after all of that, I've managed to successfully impress upon you how Avatar Frontiers of Pandora goes to absolutely ridiculous lengths to make its namesake moon an unflinching demonstration of what developers can create when afforded the resources to push for greater audio and visual fidelity, as well as how the overall commitment to creating such a fascinating and beautiful place resulted in one of, if not the single most impressive natural environment I've ever had the joy of exploring in a video game. The finesse and care with which this higher fidelity presentation was applied to such an expansive open world is really something incredible to behold, and has such a profound impact on the way you interact with and navigate the game. I really do believe this is the most successful attempt at adapting a movie into a video game to date. And if not, it's very close. Which is why I believe that Avatar Frontiers of Pandora is truly an amazing game, and even more importantly, an immaculate adaptation. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to see more, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ding the little bell if you want to be notified when my next video goes live. I also do variety game streaming at least 5 days a week starting at 12 PM Pacific Standard Time, both here and on Twitch, which is where I capture my gameplay footage used in these videos and play through the games covered on this channel. So if you want to chat about games or just see what I'm currently playing, come say hi. Link to my Twitch channel, Discord, and more in the description. Thanks again, and see you next time.